We still have a few minutes, but I'm going to come in here with winner chicken dinner. If I can find it. I've got so many things on my screen. Give people time to come in. There we go. There it is. And let's see. I'm going to refresh and I'll be right back. Let's see if there we go. That's better. Okay, the stream supposedly is good. So we're going to go with that. Hey, Jamie. Hey, Alice. Let me switch over here and say hi really quick. Hey, guys. Got a lot to cover tonight. So some of these things are going to move a little bit quick. But I'm going to switch over so everybody can see hi, Joan. See the winner chicken dinner screen and get numbers if you do not have a number, because some people lost numbers last week. So let me find that. There it is. So if you guys need a number for winner chicken dinner, I'm going to go over and cover the rules too really quick, just to make sure that everybody is on board. That you can see most of them on the screen, it looks like. The rest of it is just kind of my stuff. Yeah. All of this shows this just says numbers are accepted by YouTube chat only, and you can't win more than twice in a 4-week span in the event. So all of it is there. If anybody needs to read it, they can read it on the playback. It's there. They can pause it and read it. Hey, Sue. Hey, Stacy. If you do not have a winner chicken dinner number, please pick a number from the available numbers on the screen. If there's a name beside it, then that number is taken. Hey, Donna. Yay, I'm glad you could catch it. We're going to cover any design space questions and answers. You guys can start asking those now if you want. Hi, Gerald. We're going to cover the pineapple vase. A lot of people are making that, and a couple of people, including myself, got confused on it. But I think I have it, so I'm going to show you guys how that goes together. Hi, Bonnie. Glad you could make it. So we're going to cover that, and we are going to put that purse together. I have already cut mine, but I am going to cover how you will get the designer logo in to Design Space to put on yours. Hey, Marion. So, does everybody have their winter chicken dinner number that's here right now? If you do not have one, please pick one. Yeah, if it starts to freeze or buffer, guys, just refresh and it should come back fresh because I'm showing a nice, healthy stream on YouTube and on OBS, which is my switcher what I have to use to switch screens and cameras and stuff. I don't have anything else connected to my internet at all. Everything is turned off. Donna wants 19. What's your last name, Donna, please? So I can put that in there because we have more than one Donna. Let me grab number 19 and throw that in the bucket. It is in. Tortorella. I hope I didn't slaughter that, Donna. If anybody else needs a number, let me know. I'm going to check one more thing also off screen here. I said it right? Oh, cool. Okay, and Cindy wants 40. Let's see right there. Keep in mind, guys, you must be a member of one of the groups in order to win. You can't win more than twice in a 4-week period. Yes, please give a thumbs up on the video. We're just a few minutes out from starting. I just thought we would come in. Hi, Sheila. We would chat a little bit before we got going and pick numbers and all that good stuff. I'm going to save that again. I like to save after I add something to it so I don't lose any information. And I want to give a shout out to Rhonda Morales. She is one of our patrons. She gets a shout out on YouTube. She still hasn't given me her blog or her craft group or anything. So as soon as she gives that to me, guys, I will let you know where you can find her. So that is one of her perks to get a shout out. And I want to make sure that she gets that. So if you're out there and you're listening, Rhonda, please message me your information. Okay. While people are looking and getting their numbers and all of that stuff, there was something. Make sure that you have your glue. On this bag, I used art glitter glue. So, yes, to glue the leather, and it works perfectly fine. I'm doing good, Bonnie. Thank you. Much better. I had slight headache yesterday, but I'm saying it's the weather around here and coming back. It took me a while to adjust back to the altitude after being in Utah. I tell you, I didn't think that it had affected me because I felt fine out there. And when I got back, I was a little yucky, but it's taken me some time with I think it's my allergies, honestly. But you are going to need your art glitter glue. you're going to have your file cut except for your print and cut panels, and we'll cover that. I did too. I loved it, loved it, loved it. You're going to need your pokey tool. I don't know what you guys call that. Your weeder, your pokey tool, the straight one. You'll need that. You're going to need either a Velcro closure or a couple of those thin magnets that we used in cards. Some of you guys remember, some of you may not, but I found them on Amazon. If you want those, I will post in the group later and give you a link to Amazon for those. They're the really thin magnets. You don't want the big thick stuff. You're going to need some brads, and I'm just using the little small brads from Hobby Lobby, and I'll show those to you when we get started. And I have discovered, guys, the mat for faux leather, Vicki, you want the purple mat, and I'm just going to touch on that. People can hear this on the playback and stuff, so when you are cutting, a couple of people said that when they're cutting their earrings out of the faux leather and stuff, I have a new question to pose to them when they ask about that, or they're having some issues. If you use your Cricut applicator for fabric and roll it down, it will stay and it cuts beautifully. Because my first go round, I had to eject the mat from the screen because it was lifting off the mat. It came off the mat. It was a brand new mat and was jamming up in my machine. So I ejected everything. Didn't do any damage or anything. It was just one little piece. But it was just rolling up off the mat. So I used my applicator and burnished it down with the applicator on that same mat. I didn't remove it. I just rolled it and put it down. It cut beautifully. It didn't lift. So you need to cut it with your pretty side to the mat and use that applicator to put it on there. I did it with the second one that I cut that we're going to put together tonight. Did not have an issue at all. Same mat, everything. So using that applicator that Cricut gives you for the fabric mats and stuff is perfect for it. It does work. And I think that will eliminate some of the issues people are having with it lifting up when it tries to cut the center out of an earring and stuff like that. Hey, Wanda. 63. Wanda Kelly. There we go. Got you in there. Let me put that number in for Wanda. We don't want to miss anybody's number. That one's in. Oh, that sounds yummy, Sheila. I'm cooking beef tips and noodles. That's what I'm having for dinner. But yeah, your faux leather, you want to use purple matte. It works really well. I figured that out. I have cut it before on a green mat, but I think it worked a lot better on the purple mat, and using the applicator, it stayed. So let me go ahead and hit the record button. We'll get started. I will still take numbers for anybody that doesn't have a number up until about 7:15. So if you need a number, shout. We'll pull the screen up and let you look and pick a number. But we're going to go ahead and start covering some stuff because we have a lot to cover tonight with things people are having issues with, projects and stuff. Let's see. Let's go over to the project camera. And just to get this out of the way, tonight's winner chicken dinner is going to get, of course, their chocolate bar. And then if you joined me with the unboxing of the Baby Easy Press, I put this on this canvas tote that I got at Salt Lake City. And I put a little design on it. It's a zipper. This is a very nice little canvas tote. You're going to get that tonight. And there is still room on the back to do anything you want and to put a saying around this. I will also include a piece of this printed vinyl, so you'll have something that will match. And then, of course, the gold glitter. So I'll give you a couple of pieces of that to go with it so that you can add to the design. And I'm going to set that off to the side and get it out of my way. Ooh, everybody's cooking today. These are some cards that got uploaded this week to the Patreon files. This is called the window easel card. And guys, these go together really easy. You're just going to cut your frame, place your panels, make your flower, and then right here on your scores, there is an extra frame for stability. You're going to glue that down on this piece. You're going to sandwich your window in the two frame pieces here, and then you're going to glue it down only from the fold down. So just in case anybody had questions about that new file that got uploaded. And these cards sit like so. Did I do a knockout method for the bag? Yes, I did, Donna. I sliced those images apart so that it looks like it has been layered, but this is just the gold actually stops there, then the pink layer is put down, and then this layer is directly on the canvas as well. Just a very thin piece of the pink. None of it is layered on top of each other. It's all directly on the canvas bag. So, and I had, in that file, guys, you're going to get the 2 or 3 of them. I did them in 3 colors, so you're going to have 2 or 3 to play with, and you're welcome to change out the flowers and change out any sentiments and stuff like that. And I just use Nuvo drops to help decorate. You can use anything you want to decorate those up, but they turned out really pretty, I think. Your scoring wheel, Claudia, is not doing any better than your stylus. It may be your material. The harder your cardstock is, if it's really hard cardstock or something of that nature, you need to use wheel number 2. And you may even want to increase your pressure to more. So that you'll want to do. I noticed that when I did some of the thicker, heavier cardstocks, I had the same problem, but I was using wheel 1 and I didn't really change the pressure, and I couldn't tell a difference between it and my stylus either. So I was like, okay, something's not right here. But I looked it up, and I was using, I believe, I don't know where I got the paper, but it wasn't basil, but it was really close to it. It was between basil and close to my heart. So it was a hard, thick paper, and I'm going to say it was 110 pound. So in that case, you're going to need to use scoring wheel the number 2 tip. And if you guys have questions and stuff, please type them in caps so that myself and the moderators can see them better. And if that doesn't work, Claudia, contact support. They may be able to do a firmware update for you and give you a little more pressure. I don't know that they can do that, but they might be able to do that. They can check your firmware and everything and make sure that everything is up to date and working properly. Yours are really faint. Check your materials, guys. This is what you need to do. Put the material that you're using in and put a circle. Just insert a shape, a circle. Insert the shape and put a score line and attach it. And do that shape only on the material that you're using. Then put a piece of scrap Cricut cardstock on there and do the same thing and look at the difference. Is it just not scoring that material well, or is it not scoring the Cricut material? If it's not scoring that Cricut material well, yes, call Cricut. Definitely. But if it's scoring the Cricut material well, then it probably is the material. Because this is the score wheel on this one, and I had no issue with it. I don't know, maybe because I trashed it. Okay, and here is the scoring wheel on a piece of the stuff I was having trouble with. Very faint, and I used more pressure. But, I mean, it's still there. I can still see it. It's more like my scoring wheel, my stylus than the scoring wheel. It's a little better, but not a whole lot. But when I did it on the Cricut, I mean, it was just really nice and deep. So, mine was material. So, check your material, and if that's not working, then yes, contact Cricut. If you're getting a faint line like I had on that little green piece on your Cricut material, you need to call them. So, next little thing. This is the pineapple vase that a lot of people are wanting to put together in Design Space, and it's not showing anything. It's 3 pieces if you're doing the large one, and I think 2 pieces on the small one. So for the large one, this is already connected with, and I'm going to be using a tape runner here for time purposes. You're just going to, in that first fold on the right hand piece, and or this piece here that's got the diamond sticking out, you are going to put that together right there in that area. And I'm just going to do this quickly. I'm not going to make sure it's completely lined up perfect or anything, because the designer bag thing is going to take a little more time. So you're just going to put those together there. Note that on all of the straight score lines, I folded them inward and then folded them backward, okay? All of the X'd or diagonal score lines, I folded everything in. That's all I did. Folded very easy. The next thing you want to do is you're going to just fold on one of these tabs back, and you are going to glue these. Instead of using a tape runner, glue them. You don't want it to pop apart. Right here together. Then you're going to take that tab and you're going to fold that tab over that piece. Same thing here. You're going to take the piece without the tab. Oops, I put that on the wrong side. Do as I say, not as I do. You're going to fold it over and put your tape on the back side of it, or the right side, and bring it in. And then you're just going to fold that tab over and stick it. I'm going to do that all the way around. So let me just come through here. I'm just tacking this so that you guys can see how it goes together. Take your time and glue yours well and get it all lined up. I'm off. I got this piece off a little bit, but there we go. That's why you have to line those up. But go through and do that all the way around until you get to the other side here, okay? You're going to do the same thing on the bottom, by the way. Exactly the same thing. And you can see it's taking shape on its own. I'm not really bending it or doing anything. It's going to take its own shape on. Once you've done the top and folded those tabs over, the tabs are the top. That's going to give you that finished edge on the top. You're going to fold these around. And this is going to tack right here. I know I thought it should have another diagonal to do it here, but it doesn't. So you can either bring that to the inside. I think that looks nicer. and tack that right there. It might be easier just to tack this first and then do your folds. But you can see that it's going to create that opening right there. Then once you've done that, everybody thinks that the star just sits on the top, but it doesn't. And let me show you. Let me transition over. So there we go. That's Winter Winter Chicken Dinner for anybody that might need a number. Sheila, to change the pressure when you're on the mat, I will show that to you in just a moment. Let me come over here and minimize this. And bring up. If you look at the photo that's on this, see that where they put that star? Because this one is the large one, and the star is pink. So you can see it doesn't just sit on there. I am thinking that maybe the points may be too long so that you have room for error to trim, because if you glue yours a little tighter than somebody else does, or you're off a little bit, you may need to trim your star. But it is glued to the bottom to create the base. Okay, so that's where the star piece goes on the bottom. So that's all there is to it. So Neela, if you still have questions, let me know. But you're going to fold those tabs in on each other and then fold these over. But like I said, before you start doing these, go ahead and bring this one over and put that one down. And then you can bring all these tabs together and glue them. That's going to be the easiest way to do these, rather than doing these first. So make sure you connect your pieces, two pieces together, and then do your folding in. Then the star goes on the base. So I told you guys that I would touch on that we weren't going to put it together, but I would just explain how it went together. Trimming it will be the key, Catherine. Hey, Sharon. Glad you could make it. Let's make sure that you have a number. We have about 4 more minutes for Winter Chicken Dinner numbers. So I'm going to bring that back up so that you guys can see that. I apologize, I'm a little slow. I had to move my screen, and so my mouse is moving backwards for me. There's Winter Chicken Dinner. We have 4 more minutes on numbers. Thank you, Jamie. Yes. Yeah, when you go to the cut screen, it gives you the option, and that's where you also can pick fast mode and things like that. Thank you, Jamie. Good question, Sheila. Okay, so, oops, I scrolled down. Sharon, yeah, you still have 15, Sharon, so you're good. All right, guys, and Winter Chicken Dinner can be drawn through anytime throughout the video. You have to be present to win. If you do not respond in the YouTube chat, then I will have to move on to another winner. You have to be logged in on YouTube in order to chat, just in case some of you guys didn't know. So let's go ahead and get started. Another thing I wanted to touch on too, guys, if you have not tried the new Cricut Premium Vinyl, this is it. Look how flat and easy that lays. You want to try that out. This is some that they gave us out in Salt Lake City. Awesome, awesome product. So if you haven't tried the new Cricut Vinyl, I urge you to try it, because I am totally swapping over to using nothing but the Cricut now. Somebody saw that, didn't they? See, Donna's paying attention. She is. I'm going to help you with that. So, first, the materials that I used the art glitter glue. I've got some magnets. I've got my Cricut faux leather, and I'm using sapphire tonight. On the Coach bag, I used the brown. Okay, and I didn't think of it when I did this, and I just haven't redone it, but I am going to tonight use a scrap of the leather that cuts in between some of these pieces to tie on. So we're going to put this bag together, and I'm going to show you guys everything that you're going to need, and we're going to complete it. So you've got your Cricut faux leather, and I have the file mark, and then cardstock. Now when I did this bag, don't make the mistake that I made. See how yellow that is? Because I forgot to change my background to white, and I'm going to show that to you guys. So when it printed, not only did it print the color that I had in my file onto the cream colored cardstock, but I should have printed that on white instead of the cream color if I'm not going to change the color there. So I'll show you guys so you don't make that same mistake that I made. And I will finish putting my pineapple base together too and show that to you guys later. I'm gonna throw some little plants in it. So you're going to need 1 sheet of the craft board, and I use this for the base of my box because sometimes, or bag, this is a bag box, whatever you want to call it. It's kind of a mix of both. So if you put something heavy in there, you want it to be substantial. You don't want the bottom to collapse with cardstock. Hey, Debbie. So make sure that you use, I'm going to say either craft board or use a heavy 110, 120 pound stock for your base. It comes, the Cricut brand comes in black, white, and craft color. So make sure you have that. On this one that I did, I wanted an embossed side, and that's why you can use regular cardstock, but this is a shimmer paper from Michaels. You get like 5 sheets and a little, I think it's $2.99 when it's not on sale, something like that, and it's embossed. So you get that raised edge. I wanted it to give it that fabric look, and I knew that because the pieces are too large, I couldn't put them in my Cuttlebug with an embossing folder. So that is one route that you can go, or you can use, can you take care of that? Thank you, Catherine, for getting rid of that. Some people. But anyway, you can use any kind of cardstock that you want for the sides, but I like the heaviness, okay? For the buckle, and on the bag that I'm doing tonight, because you can switch this stuff up, guys, if I can find it there. I use shimmer paper, and that is also a Cricut brand. It's very thick, and sometimes it won't take glue well, but it seemed to take it well for this. So it didn't seep through, it didn't bubble up, and I'm going to show you a little trick that I did to make it not do that. And I did use a strong grip mat. And when you're cutting your leather, make sure you use your Cricut applicator and put it down. And make sure that you do not have pieces of anything on your mat. Make sure your mat is clean, because that's where you're going to run into problems and not get clean cuts. You need a clean mat. It doesn't need to have any paper pieces on it, nothing. So when you're cutting leather, you may want to even designate a strong grip mat strictly for your leather, and that way you always have a nice clean mat to work with, and you don't have any bad cuts, because mine cut perfectly. I didn't have any problems. I used the applicator. When I did this one, it was lifting up on my first go, and I had to stop my machine, eject the mat, and then I said, well, let me try that, and I rolled it down with this. I had absolutely no issue after that. So that will clear that up. Okay, let me get rid of these. This is the new Fisker's tool from Leah Griffith, guys, if you're making crepe flowers. And the tiny little pieces that I cut for those cards I didn't use. Get that out of the way. So I think that's all the rest of this we're going to use. How did I get this? That's the question. How did we do this? It's okay, Kathy. I'm glad you made it. If you need to cut it afterwards, playback will be ready and you can use playback to put it together. It's really very simple. You're going to be surprised how easy it is to put this together. It's not as complicated as it looks. Let me switch over and transition over and show you guys how to get your print and cut done. I'm not actually going to cut this. I already cut one, but this is what it's going to look like when you're finished, depending on what logo you use. So let's go over, and I'm going backwards with my mouse again. Sorry. I had to make an adjustment here. And go over to Design Space. Okay. I've already brought mine in, but I just want to show you guys how I did this. What I did is I went over and I did a search of the Coach Purse logo clip art. And when I was looking through here, and I could find everything except the fabric logo. I could find the purses, and I found the little Coach guy and all of that stuff, which is great. All we have to do is download and save those and bring them in Design Space. Remember, these are copyrighted, trademarks, etc., etc., etc. You cannot share this with one another. It's illegal, but you can use it for your own personal use. Okay? So, in order to do that, you can bring it into Design Space and use it for your own personal use to give someone a gift or something like that. You can't sell this. But I wanted the fabric logo, so I kept scrolling, and look at there. There's a Michael Kors. But you can keep going, and you'll get down here at the end, and you can click See More Images. But right there, there's your key. This one would come up if I had searched Coach logo template, and there we go. Okay? So at that point, all you're going to do is save that image to your desktop or wherever you save your files. You're going to save it, and you can search any of these guys, any designer that you want. I might have typoed that, but let's see. I did. But you can come in and you can find these to upload into Design Space. You're going to have to do a little work. You're going to have to clean them up. And if you have Shortcuts a lot, that may help you as well. So Shortcuts a lot 5 will work as well. But I just uploaded the designs that I wanted to use. Okay? And let me just go over here and show you. If you go to upload image, you can browse. I don't know if I still have this in my downloads or not. Here, we'll just use, let's see if I can find it. I have a ton of stuff in it. Here we go. So you can choose this, and then you're going to select complex, and you're going to hit continue. And then you're just going to click and take out all of the white background. Tedious? Yes. Worth it? In my opinion? Yes. So you're just going to go in and clean out all of the white areas through this whole image. So once you've done that, and we're just going to pretend that I have already done that, you're going to hit continue, and you're going to be left, and you can see if you missed one, you'll see it. And you see here where they don't match up, just go back and do that. I saved mine as a print image. I'm just going to cancel and go to upload and show you guys. I just saved mine as a print, then cut. And then I insert image, and this is what I'm left with. And you can see that it's still got some white edges on it for print and cut or whatever. But I'm just going to come over here and change it to cut. Because you can change a printed image to a cut, but you can't reverse it sometimes. And then you're just going to select whatever color you want it to be. And you're going to come over and get your panel. And this is what I do so I don't have to ungroup it. I am going to select this panel, and maybe it's going to give it to me, maybe it's not. My ungroup is not coming up. There we go. It's not going to let me. Okay, I might have to refresh. Let me refresh real quick. It's all I do is duplicate that panel, and that way I have a panel that I haven't done anything to. I've got a download going. Maybe that's why I needed an update. There we go. But you're just going to come in, and let's see if it'll let me do it now. There we go. And duplicate it. And then I'm going just to duplicate it a couple of times. That way I have some panels. I'm going to go back to my group over here, and I'm going to hide that panel in that group because I'm not going to need it unless I'm cutting it out of a solid color. And then the other one as well, right here, I'm going to hide it. That way I'm not cutting too many panels. You notice that they disappeared here. I'm going to change this to a cut, and we're just going to pretend this is the Louis Vuitton one, and change the color. And then I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. Now it doesn't quite fit the panel that I want to use. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to put it in that corner, and I am going to unlock and just stretch it just a tiny bit. You can do that, or you can just come up here, and the width is 4.625, and you can change that width to 4.625. Now if I scrunch it down and bring that up, it's going to skew it so bad that it won't look like the Coach logo. So here's where the trick comes in, and I'm going to hold my shift key and select both pieces. I'm going to align center, and I am going to slice it. Okay, I'm going to take that piece, and I'm going to get rid of all of this. Don't need any of that anymore. I'm going to take that piece, select the other piece, align, center, flatten, duplicate. I can get rid of the extra panel I have there I got just in case. And now I'm ready to do my cut. I can send that over to print and cut. Uh-oh, Sheila Rogers is here. We are all in trouble now. Hi, Sheila. Welcome, welcome. So that's how you're going to get that logo for the designer bag on that centerpiece, to make sure you don't change the size of the piece and that it fits in here perfectly, because it will be fitting in between these two pieces perfectly. Let me show you that as well. And of course, anything that's in the file that you're not going to need, you want to hide. I just left this so you would know what to print and cut out of what material. So let me switch back over to the camera, and we'll start putting that together. So once you've printed this, you'll want to go ahead and cut it out, and then you'll have your panels. But you notice that it is laid in there perfectly between these two, so that it feels like one smooth, cohesive piece. It's not raised up or bumpy. Okay, let's get started. If you need to refresh, go ahead and refresh. It looks like there is maybe a little bit of buffering going on. Well, it just stopped. So if you need to refresh, go ahead, but on the playback, you'll be able to play this back. I have the base that I cut out of the Cricut craft board. And you're just going to fold, I used the double scoring wheel, and you're just going to fold it, those two tabs in on each side. And I got off on my score. I always do that. So go ahead and fold those two pieces in. And the scoring wheel does keep this material from cracking. When I used it on other boxes, it cracked really bad. I mean, I'm noticing that it's got a little rigid, I don't know, wrinkly, but it's not cracking like it did prior. Unless you get off that score, then it will. So then you folded those two in, just like that. And then you can relax it back out, and then you want to fold the sides in. This is going to create the base. And it's, like I said, this is kind of like a bag box combo because you're going to be able to put some heavyweight stuff in this bag and not worry about it coming apart on you. So once you have that and you have it cut, you're going to glue these four sides. But before you do that, I'm just using these small brads. Let me put it on that paper so you can see it. I get them at Michael's and Hobby Lobby in the packs. And for this one, I'm using silver. I'm just going to flip it over and drop one in. And then I'm going to spread the legs open on that brad so that it's in place in each one of these holes. I knew I would drop that one. What the droppies. And don't pay attention to my nails, guys. I need to get them done. For some reason, my gel polish that they used this time just peeled right off. It's starting to come off of the other two I have left. There we go. Things are so small. Sometimes they can be tedious. But just go ahead and put all four of those in place. And I do this prior to gluing up my sides because I just find that it's easier. But I like to fold it first so that it's not laying flat because it's hard to work with flat. Okay, so we have all four of those. Also, out of the craft board, you should have 4 matching circles. And I'm just going to use art glitter glue here. And I'm going to glue over just to finish those off. You don't want to stick something in that bag and it hang on there and then lose them. So just give it a good amount of glue. And this is also going to allow you to press it and keep it tight. And I just dropped mine on the floor. And you're going to glue these 4 circles on those 4 brads. Just to cover them up, give it a nice pretty finished look. Of course, you can change those to squares or whatever you want in there. Just something to cover it. You can even cut one panel if you want, cut another panel and place in the bottom. And not glue anything if you want. But I think that helps hold the brads in place, so I like to glue them. Yeah, it doesn't really fold on both of them. It just kind of gives it that space in between the 2 score lines. It kind of folds in the middle so that your paper doesn't crack. So for heavier, that's what it is. Your art glitter glue. Oh, is it really hot in there, Hill? Gerald? Yeah, I keep mine at room temperature. I don't let mine go outside. And then you're just going to glue, keeping this square, guys. Make sure you want a nice square edge. You don't want it to overhang, but you want to keep it nice and square. And glue those 4 tabs. Pay attention to your edges. You want enough glue that it keeps that edge sealed down. You don't want a loose edge popping out when you're putting stuff in the bag and causing it to be torn loose. Is anybody having any other issues with any projects in Design Space? I know we covered the pineapple. So if you've got any make it nows that you're having issue with, please ask, let us know. We'll see if we can't solve it for you. And I'm just laying these flat, guys, and giving it a good rub down is all I'm doing. And that creates the base of this purse. So then our next step, you have two panels, and if you cut them out of the embossed paper, they look like this. They are scored completely down each side here, or kind of in the center, and then you have one directly in the center. This is the top. If it has that score in the center, it is the top. So you want to go ahead and fold it. And I'm going to tell you guys now, if you like the look of the bag just to be like an oval at the top, do not fold that center score, okay? Because some people do like that look and some like it with the folded in look. I personally like the folded in look. You can, if you don't want that, you can remove that center score off of your bag before you cut it. And also you'll want to stop about 3 inches up on that score at the bottom and just stop so that this will not get a fold in it. But I like the sharpness of the bag around, so I'm going to fold mine all the way up. And I am not going to really worry about this score here in the center yet. It's just there to help once the bag is put together. So then you're going to make sure that your corners are lining up good here at the bottom. Make sure you've got a good fold on it with your scores, and you're going to glue that into place. And I like to just do this end first. Pay attention to the edge. You want some glue up here at the top edge. Just going to flatten it out a little bit. And I'm just going to place that in there, lining it up exactly at the bottom, getting it nice and smooth and even. And then I am just going to run my glue. And it doesn't matter if you go past the paper on here with your glue where the edge ends, it'll be okay. We're going to wrap that in. Keep it lined at the bottom. And it helps to kind of flip it over, and you can use your burnishing tools and just give it a rub down and get it to stick, but keeping it straight all the way around. And then you're going to glue this side as well. And again, I'm just going to flip it over and give it a rub, distribute that glue around. Okay. Then while that's, just set it off to the side to dry and go ahead and fold your other piece exactly the same way. And I'm not burnishing this because it is embossed. I don't want to mess up the look of that paper. If you're using just a solid or a smooth cardstock, you can burnish that and get a good crisp line on it. And now we're going to do the exact same thing on this side. when you get, before you glue these sides down, we're going to run a bead of glue on this edge and on this edge. Okay, and if it helps you get it lined up, you can use your tape runner to do that and then add some glue in it, just whatever you prefer. But I would definitely use glue on a gift bag and not a tape runner, simply because if you put heavy objects in it, that tape, in the humidity here where I live, it pops loose. I've been there, done that, and so I don't do that anymore. I only use it when I do mock-ups and things like that. So I've got my glue all the way around. I'm just going to line that up. And I'm just rubbing this while it's pressed against the table. I know it's hard for you guys to see that. There's no way I can really get around showing you that. Maybe this way. But I'm just giving that a rub to rub it down. And I'm off. I want to pull that loose, and there we go. Make sure you're lined up. That's the key. Keep it straight. And then I'm just going to run a bead of glue down this edge of this one and down the edge of this one. I'm going to wrap that one in. I'm going to flip it over, and I'm just going to go in and rub that. Again, if you do not want yours to be squared up and with a little bit of an indentation, make sure that you don't crease all the way up. Only crease about 3 inches up and leave this rounded. And then we're going to do the same thing on this side. Just going to come down this edge and down this edge. And then I'm going to flip it over. That's how I can keep it square, and then give it a rub and distribute that glue. So yours should be looking something like this right now. And that's how we hide the seams. Let's see. Let me answer some questions while that's drying up a little bit. Okay. Yeah, Sheila, I bought this at Michael's. It's Recollections. You get 5 sheets in a pack. I want to say I paid $2.99, but it was like a 50 or 40% off sale. And it comes in like a gold color, this silver champagne color, comes in a dark color, but it's already embossed. It's their shimmer cardstock. And it takes 2 sheets to make this project. So while that's drying, our next step, you have 4 strips like this. I say I do. There's 3. There it is. You have 4 strips. And I did use art glitter glue, and it's holding just fine. These you want, I know you have a seam here. Do not be tempted to do this. You can, but it will show, and you don't want it to show. So, and you just want to bring it and just kind of gauge and make sure that it's coming around to the middle. And it doesn't have to be exactly to the middle. It may be a little long and they may overlap, and that is fine. It's a thin material and it works fine because you're going to be putting this piece over it. And I mean, you can turn it over and you can see it's overlapped, but it doesn't appear to be overlapped. That's what's going to give you that little bit of a raised look to make it look real. Okay? So I'm just going to flip this over. Get these out of my way. I don't want to get them sticky. And I am just going to put a liberal amount of art glitter glue all the way down the strip. This is like a fabric on the back, so don't be stingy with your glue on this one. You want to give it enough to stick because it's going to soak in a little bit to that fabric. And you could certainly use fabric glues or E6000, whatever you really want. It'll be okay. And I'm just kind of pulling that and letting it land at the same place on each side. And then I'm going to press that down. Just make sure that you keep it even all the way down to the bottom, covering your cardstock. But don't let it overhang the bottom because it's going to be crucial in putting this panel in and it meeting up well. So you have that one, so we're going to go ahead and do the other side now. Pay attention to your edges. Remember, the edge is key because that can make or break your project if it pulls loose. And if it has a loose edge, then it can pull it off. And I'm just going to wrap that one around. Make sure it's at the bottom. Got glue on. You can take alcohol and clean off the glue if you need to. We all know I'm a messy gluer. So then you have that one. So we're going to let that one dry, and we're going to do the same thing around the top. Is everybody following so far? Any questions? Yes, this is the sapphire faux. The Coach, when I use the brown, you can use any color. I'm interested to see what designers and colors you guys come up with. Just keep that top edge even. This one's a little easier to do because you can reach it and pinch it. Nice and smooth. And then the last one there. Now on my other one, I cut holes in this piece to try to have them line up and into this for the handles. And it's going to depend a lot on if you want to do that. how you glue and how yours goes together and how thick your cardstocks are. So I removed that out of there. I got lucky and the handle covered up the hole that was cut in it, but just to keep that from happening and chancing that it wouldn't fit, I removed that because I didn't want you guys wasting materials if it didn't line up for you. Now this is a gift bag, guys, so the art glitter glue is working. If you're doing this and you're making earrings and you're layering it, I'm going to suggest that you use a leather or a fabric glue for that. But for a gift bag, the art glitter glue seems to be working just fine for me. I'm just giving that a press to distribute the glue. And there we have that part of the bag done. Now, here's the tricky part. We're going to set that to the side, and we're going to glue these two pieces together. Okay. So you'll just want to put your glue on there and keep it flat. This is a little curl because of the position it was on the leather, because it came off the roll that way. And I am making a mess with my glue. You don't need as much glue on this side of the leather as you do on the other side, but you still want to pay attention to your edges and get a liberal amount. You don't want to be stingy. And then you want to line this up, making sure that the hole that's cut in those lines up, while at the same time keeping it centered on the sides. And I told you I was going to show you a trick about, I'm using this applicator to distribute that glue and press it down. And you're going to want to let that dry and let it dry pretty flat. The next thing you want to do, and you can do this prior, but I want it to come through. It really needs to come through. But you can do this and let it sit and dry while you're putting this part of the bag together. I went ahead and did that with the label. This is a scrap of the leather from between some of the cuts where I had cut the pieces. You can just use this as your string. That way you're not wasting any of that. You can use that for your tie. I used ribbon on the other before I thought about it, and I just didn't change it over. But then when I did this one, I was like, I'm not going to do that again. So that way when we're hanging that, it's got the same faux leather hanger on it. Yeah, a cowboy's purse. That would be so cute, Donna. That would be a good idea. You could do NFL purses like this, little gift bags. How cute would those be? So once that's had a chance to dry, and this one hasn't had a chance to dry good, you want to kind of curve it with your finger. But let it get good and dry, and just give it a curve. You don't want to curl it too much, just a little bit, okay? Then you're going to determine the center, and just because this is here does not mean that's the center of your bag, okay? But you'll want to get as close to the center, judging from your sides, as you can get it. And then you're going to take your pokey tool and carefully, I mean very carefully, do not poke yourself, okay? You're going to determine where that hole needs to be, as close as you can get it. And support. I put my 2 fingers like this, and then I push between the 2. Just gently, just enough to get a hole, okay? And then I'm going to open up the brad and insert it in. And then spread it apart. Like so. And I'm off a little bit. You guys probably get a little bit better than what I got it right there, but I'm going to live with it. So now you have the closure on the front. This is where you want to put one of those magnets. And I will get you guys a link if you need it for these magnets. Some of you ordered them for the cards and the little purse things that we did in a different video. I think those 2 are glued together. You definitely want a couple you can get apart. So then I am going to determine where my closure is, and that is where I am going to glue this magnet. That looks about right. So you'll want to let that magnet dry. Now, if you're using a Velcro closure, you can skip this step and you'll put your Velcro closure on last. That'll be the very last thing that you do. So now that we have that, we're going to set that to the side. And we're going to get, these are the handles, we don't need that. Here it is. You're going to get your little belted piece. And see, I messed up already. Thank goodness I haven't glued that. You'll want to take that brad off. I apologize. Doesn't hurt anything because we haven't glued this in place yet. You're going to glue this down the center, like so, but not all the way. I'm just going to take my pokey tool and put a hole in that, just like so, through my self-healing mat here, and then put that brad in there. That brad, I bent it. Doesn't like me anymore. Okay, so once that's in, put it in here. I did this ahead of time on mine before I did the box on the other one to give it plenty of time to dry because I didn't want to glue this piece on to the other piece while it was wet. Helps if you get both of the legs through there instead of one. There we go. And also it gives me a chance to make sure that when I glue this piece down that I get it right down the middle and keep it straight till it dries. Because you want it to look like it's all the way over that end. And you're just, ooh, I almost messed up again. Before you glue it, you want your buckle piece out of the the shimmer paper, and you're going to go in from the back, over the little buckle piece, and down into there. And I just put my little buckle piece on the second hole and then pulled it back down so that you don't see the bar through that other hole, and then you can see the holes. Then put your glue on. and then use your applicator. And I am not going all the way to the end yet. I want to make sure that this lines up down here because it can get pulled off, and just slide it into place. I don't have enough glue. Put a little dab back here. Keeping it straight. And before I press this down, I want another one of my magnets. And you'll want to make sure that you don't have the opposites on. So it needs to be, make sure that it sticks. Well, I just pulled that one off. I'll put it back on in a second. Make sure that they attach themselves. I'm just going to glue it underneath that part of the belt. And then put this one back on. To me, these seem to work better with glue dots, honestly, than it does the art glitter glue. But it's going to get sealed in there, so it should stay. And just to be sure that I've got them right. If your magnet's not strong enough, it may not closure. So make sure that it is strong enough. You may need to double it up. And there's always a solution, because I had, on this one I forgot to do that step, and I just placed one here as a closure. I got it under this one, but when you lift it, the magnet's there. And to me that doesn't really matter, because on purses you see the magnet or the closure there as well. So let that dry. And then once it's dry and you've got your curl in it, then you're going to place it, open those legs back up, and put it through. This is, to me, the hardest part of this whole thing. My hole isn't big enough. Make it a little larger. There we go. Perfect. Okay, so once you have that step done, you want to make sure that this is straight at the back and kind of fold that back. And I put my glue here because you don't want this piece to spin. You want it to stay stationary. And with one brad, of course, it's going to spin. And then we're just going to let that dry. Just pull that over. And while that's drying, we're going to work on these pieces. So you're going to put your panel on and center it up. Is everybody following with me so far? Pretty easy, isn't it? And then I'm just going to lay this piece in, and it looks like this one I may have gotten my leather off a little bit, but it's okay. If you want to recut, you can recut, but I think it's going to be fine. I'm trying to let that dry and press that down at the same time. There we go. Then I'm just going to turn this around while that's still drying and place this panel in. Use a liberal amount of glue, guys, because that's going to help you be able to slide and center this. If you don't put enough glue on there, then it kind of sticks faster, but then you don't get a chance to maneuver. So then we have that. And I'm just going to be careful because usually I would just go and take a break here and let this piece dry. But for time purposes, I'm just going to keep working. But you let yours dry. Then you're going to take these strips here and you're going to glue them right there in those areas. Okay? See if I can keep this on camera for you guys. Again, pay attention to the edges. You know, you won't have maneuverability or playroom, but you could actually put this through your creative station, probably, and get those in there. But they should fit and line up perfectly in between the two leather strips. Just like that. On each side. And you can do this with any of the designers that you choose. You just have to go and Google your images and get what you like. I've got just a little bit of I was off on my leather there. If you work it, if you've got a little place, it'll flatten out and go in there. Just work it. And it should meet. You shouldn't have to trim it. It should work fine. I apologize. Give me 1 second, guys. Hey, because I can't talk right now. I'm in the middle of a live video. Sorry about that. My neighbor stopped by. He didn't know I was doing a live. So now we're on the other side. I'll find my other strips. I lost a strip. It's here somewhere. I know it is. Okay. We're just going to do the same thing on this side. Try not to get glue on top of your leather, but if you do, you can take a little alcohol wipe after it's good and dry, and you can wipe it down. I am missing a strip, guys. I don't know what I did with it. I have those two pieces. Okay. Well, hopefully you aren't missing your strip, and you can glue your other one on that side. I'll find it and I'll add it. Maybe, no, it's not. I thought maybe I didn't remove it from my piece, but I did. Oh, well. Yeah, my dogs went nuts. So they probably set your dogs off. And there goes my iPad on the floor. Okay. Well, I will find it. I don't know where it's at, but you guys know that their strip goes on here, and I'll find it and put it on there and take a photo for you guys. So the next step, you have these two side pieces, and you can put these on after you do these down here if you want. It doesn't matter what order you actually do these in. But you just want to glue those on, finding center after you put your brads on them. Or before you put your brads on them, I'm sorry. Before you put your brads on, you just want to glue that down. And I'm just going to flip it over and do the other one and give that time to dry. And then again, you're going to get your pokey tool. Somebody's number flipped out of there. And just carefully, this cardstock is really thick. I'm going to put my hand in there and hopefully I won't jam it in my fingers. Just get it started. And the same thing on the other side. And then you're going to put a brad into those and open them up. How stinking cute is this? Okay, then once you have those opened up, of course, these little pieces here are going to cover those brads on the inside. I have a number in there. Maybe that is telling me that number 63 is our winner for Winner Winner Chicken Dinner. Who has 63? And I haven't pressed that down, but you can see down in there how that's going to go right over there. And that also helps create a little lip for the edge of the bag as well. Just make sure you get enough glue in it to hold it down and cover the brad. Who's number 63? I don't have my page up to look. And this one is not glued yet because I didn't give it time to dry. Make sure you give yours time to dry, guys, so it doesn't keep spinning on you. Okay. My magnet may not be strong enough. I may have to add another one yet. That's okay. So now that we have those on there, and once this is dry, there's one that has writing on there that you guys can use for the writing if you want or not. It's up to you. I cut out of the tag. I saved the piece that came out of the tag, and that's what I'm going to use to cover that brad back there. But there is a circle that has, I think, Crafting with April initials on it, but you guys can change that out, of course, to whatever your initials are. I'm just going to glue that shimmer paper over that brad covering that one. Like so. You can still see it a little bit, but I like it. Well, I still haven't found that leather piece, so I don't know where it went. I'm probably going to have to cut another for mine. So next is the handles. And that's why you want that leather piece. Because I lined mine up. There are holes cut in these for you guys to make this part easier. You don't have to poke through so many layers. But I wanted my handle right above or in line with the leather strip. So that's why I waited and removed those holes. And you're just going to, again, pierce it. Put in your brad. If I can see. And open it up. And if you can certainly use cardstock instead of the leather. You'll want to probably fold this in half and give it a little bit of a, just glue the edges, don't glue it in the center. And you can do that on these two if you want, guys. I didn't do it on the other one, but you can glue just the edge and kind of leave these puffy to look more like handles if you want. It's up to you. I liked mine the way that it was, so I'm living with that, and I'm hoping that I get this in the right spot. Because I don't have that strip on there, I don't have anything to judge with. And if you put them on this way, it's going to look like suspenders, guys. So don't try to put them on that way, okay? Unless you're making a Santa bag. If you want to make it look like a Santa bag and have this in red, then yeah, you'll want to put it on. Otherwise, you want each handle to be on the same side. And of course, cover those with the little circles as well. Just to give it a nice, clean, finished look inside. And then we're going to come over here and do the same on the back. Calla Lily, did you take my little piece of leather? I bet you she got it. I bet she did. She thinks everything belongs to her. She brought her bone in here to chew so you guys could hear her munching. Hi, Poochie. One last spread. Cover it with the circles. And I'm just going to, for kicks and giggles, guys, going to see if I can get a glue dot and stick that extra magnet on. Maybe two. It's stuck to my finger. There we go. I'm going to bring that over. Give it a good press down. There we go. Still does. I have two different kinds of magnets here, and one of them is strong and one isn't. That must be the one that isn't. It is. It's the really, really, really thin ones, and that's why I'm having an issue. There we go. There we go. And other than the strip, guys, that completes it. That's all there is to it. Putting on your tag. I just ran it through and looped it like you normally would. I cut two of the blue leathers, and I left one face down on the mat, put glue on it, then laid the other one on top, used the applicator and squished it flat. So it's hard, like a hard disc. And then, if I can get it on here, this was my scrap leather, so I don't know if it's long enough, but I think it is. I'm just going to, maybe a little bit longer piece. I think this piece was about, I don't know, 8 inches. So if you cut one at 12 inches or 11.5, it's going to be longer. I'm going to redo mine and make it longer so that it hangs further down. But you get the idea of how that goes on. And that completes it. Other than the little strip that my little doggy ran off with. So, any questions? Yes, Bethany, we did print and cut the paper. And if you watch back, I showed you how you could go through and do that. And just make sure that you're glued down. I didn't get enough glue right here. You can see I've got a little bit of a bubble. Make sure that you burnish these down. But I did this in a rush. If you do it and take your time, it will stick with the art glitter glue. You can see this one's not going anywhere. It's on there. So just take your time and you can do that. If you want, again, then you can press this in a little bit to give you those sides, but not necessary. Totally up to you guys. But totally finished. Can put in a heavy gift. I mean, I don't know if I have anything heavy enough to show. That's kind of big, but that's heavy. This weighs probably half a pound or so. So you can get plenty in that bag. You can make these smaller. Just leave everything grouped and shrink it down to size. Okay? Any questions, guys? Anybody who is not if you are a Patreon member, I thank you for your support. You can go to the site, craftingwithapril.co, and this file is in the design tab file. Okay? Thank you, Miss Sheila. Thank you, Vicki. Thank you, Bethany, Poochie. But you have access to this file. If you are not a Patreon member, This file is available to you. However, you must go to the site and register, and then you need to request the file on the File Request tab. I don't normally make my files like this available to the public, but so many people were wanting to know how to make this, and nobody was wanting to share how to make them. So I decided that I would do my file and make sure that everybody had access. But you have to request it. craftingwithapril.co. Let's see if it'll let me add it. Yeah. You guys know I can't type. So you can get the file there. You just have to request it, and I will send it to you as soon as I possibly can. I'm still looking for that strip, but I do believe she ran off with it. So, and who was it that had 63? Did they ever respond? Let me scroll back and take a look. It was Wanda. Wanda, I'll get that off to you in the mail. Congratulations. Miss Sheila, you can pick a number. It's too late for tonight. I stopped taking numbers at 7:15, but you can pick a number for next week. You only lose your number if your number is called and you don't respond. Then it goes back in the bucket for somebody else to choose the next week. So as long as you are here, if your number's called, then you get to keep your number. And that's what's available. Let me transition over so you can see it. These numbers are available for winner chicken dinner. And we do this every week, guys. So if you're not, you have to be a member of one of my groups or a Patreon in order to win. And you have to be present when we draw, so. So anybody that doesn't have a number that wants to participate next week, go ahead and give me a number that's not chosen. But again, if I pull your number and you're not here, your number goes back into the kitty for somebody else to choose. The page, Sheila, when you go, your file access has been turned on. You joined Patreon tonight, Sheila, so your access has been turned on. So when you go to that site, craftingwithapril.co, look on the Designs tab, and you are a premium tier, so you get the exclusive file and the design file. There are 2 tabs there that are loaded up with files. And I'm in Georgia. For any of you guys who don't know, I'm on Eastern time. Bethany, you sure can have 51. Let me put that in there for you. Does anybody else have any project questions or anything before we wrap up? Which number did you want, Miss Sheila? Rashonda, if you want to support me on Patreon, then you have access to all my files. Those are for my Patreon supporters, and that's how you get the premium files. Also on the webpage, you can click any of those Patreon links and it will take you over to Patreon. Neela 43, it's all yours. How did I flatten the image in Design Space? Let me show you that real quick. Let's go back over there. Let me unflatten. So here is my, when I brought it in as a print and cut because I can change it to cut, and then I sized it. And after I sized it, I just selected my panel and the image, and I aligned center, and then I clicked flatten. And that will change it to a print and cut. If you notice in the layers panel, the icon changes to a printer rather than a scissors like here. For instance, the little coach, if I wanted to put him on the tag here, let me ungroup this and ungroup and ungroup. So if I wanted to put him on here where I did Louis Vuitton tonight, then I would bring that to the front and I would size him up to fit on that tag. Then I will align and center it horizontally. I think he needs to come down just slightly. And align, center horizontally. You don't want to do center here because it's counting where this hole is up here and it'll put it too high for you, but get it about where you want it vertically and then center horizontally. Select them both and down here on the bottom right click flatten, and now you can see in the layers panel that will print and then cut. Keep in mind, if you're printing on white paper, you'll want to leave your background color to match your others. But if you're printing on a colored paper, you will want to make sure that you change this to white because white doesn't print, and then flatten it. And that way, when you print it on the colored paper, it will turn out the color that you chose on your paper. You can slice it. I did that, Vicki, on the Louis Vuitton one, and I did a cutout. So let me go back over and show you. So you can do it two ways. There's two ways to do it. I'll show you the flattened one, and I will show you the sliced one. But this image here, the little coach, is just a little bit too intricate to actually cut and slice up. You'll probably end up with a little bit of a mess. But this one I sliced out of the shimmer paper so that the blue leather would show through. Okay, so that's one way to do it. And then this one I just flattened. I changed it to brown because I was using brown leather. And then I flattened it to the colored paper, but then I used colored paper instead of white paper by mistake, and so it came out a little yellower than I expected, but I'm living with it. But so you can do both. You can slice it and have the leather show through, and that's why there's two leather pieces so that it looks finished on both sides of the tag. You can even cut another one of these and put your to and from on it on the other side if you want. So, couple of different ways of doing it. Oh, you're still young, Neela. Oh, you're welcome, Rashonda. I'm glad I didn't slaughter it. I try to get everybody's name right, but sometimes you get tongue-tied and can't pronounce some of them. Hi, Christy. So, guys, if you want access to all my files, support me on Patreon. If you are under $5, you get the design files. $5 or more, you get all my files. Give a thumbs up on the video. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Make sure you're subscribed so if I go live, you get notifications. I'm going to go cut this piece of leather and put that on there before it drives me and my OCD insane. So, you guys have a wonderful night. If you have any more questions or need help, excuse me, let me know in the group. And I can even do a short video for you if need be and show you what needs to be done. Your inner child is 8. I get that. You guys, thank you for watching and thank you for joining me. Thank you to all my Patreon supporters. You guys be awesome. Thank you to the moderators, Jamie, Sue, and excuse me, Catherine. I appreciate you guys. I got a little tickle in my throat all of a sudden. So you guys, if you have any questions at all, do not hesitate to ask. And remember, you are very much appreciated. There is a link to my Patreon, Donna. It is Crafting with April. I don't know. Sometimes YouTube will not let me post it. And sometimes it will. There it is. And you can join me there. There's also, should be a little button on my YouTube channel there on the screen that you can click as well. Hi, Debbie. I appreciate it. I know this was a long tutorial, guys, but we had lots to cover. Usually we don't run this long, but I appreciate you guys sticking with me and learning how to make this bag. You guys have a wonderful night, and we'll see you next week.